was really on TV-8.
It's 12 o'clock. And now from TV-8, where news is number one, Molly Cooney, John McLaughlin, and Mary Brubaker. This is TV-8 News, live at noon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. A Des Moines man is being held in connection with last night's drive-by shooting north of Des Moines. 18-year-old Henry Dittmer of Des Moines is charged with 2 counts of terrorism. Dittmer was arrested last night and made an initial appearance in Polk County courts this morning. He is accused of firing a sawed-off shotgun at 9 Sadell High School students last night. The incident occurred in the Norwoodville area north of Des Moines' northeast side. Several victims were struck by shotgun pellets. Most suffered minor puncture wounds. The victims drove themselves to a Des Moines hospital. All were treated and released last night. Polk County Sheriff's detectives still are investigating the incident. Polk County Sheriff's Department spokesman says the incident may be a result of tensions between East and Sadell High School students. Dittmer is being held in the Polk County Jail on 2 separate $3,000 bonds.
A hunt is underway in Mississippi for a man suspected of stabbing 4 children to death and injuring 2 others and a woman. Police say it happened last night in LaFleur County. The county coroner says the man is believed to be the father and uncle of the children. The attack happened at the home of the suspect's mother. People in the area are being warned to lock their doors, and school has been canceled.
The Iowa Attorney General says he will not rule on whether the Des Moines School Board violated the Iowa Open Meetings Law. State Attorney General Tom Miller says it would be inappropriate for his office to make a ruling in the matter. The question is whether the Des Moines School Board violated Iowa law when it made a secret out-of-court settlement with former Lincoln High School bookkeeper Roberta Berry. Berry is charged with first-degree theft, accused of stealing money from Lincoln. Critics of the out-of-court settlement say it should have been discussed in a public meeting. In a letter to Polk County Attorney Jim Smith, Miller says Smith should look into the matter.
Candlelight vigil was held in downtown Des Moines last night, calling for the freedom of hostages in the Middle East. Those who attended the ceremony marked the 90th day of the occupation of Kuwait. They also mourned the 42 American servicemen killed in the Persian Gulf, as well as Kuwaitis who have died at the hands of Iraqi soldiers. Many who attended the vigil say they think President Bush has shown strong leadership in the crisis, and they say they're glad to hear his tougher words towards Saddam Hussein in the past few days.
President Bush is urging Americans to pray today for soldiers and hostages in the Persian Gulf. The president says this should be a national day of prayer and that he has been heartened by what he calls an outpouring of prayers and thoughts since the Gulf crisis began. Mr. Bush continues on the campaign trail today. He'll be stopping in Sioux City later on this afternoon to stump for Senate hopeful Tom Taaki and also Governor Branstad. Iraq is bridling with anger today toward the U.S. and Great Britain. The Foreign Ministry says the 2 countries have no respect for human values. The comment follows U.S. and British denunciation of an offer by Iraq to let families participate in holiday visits to the hostage relatives in Iraq and Kuwait. Iraq, however, did announce it will allow 4 American captives who are sick and elderly to return home. That release could take place tomorrow.
In London today, the government of Margaret Thatcher is being rocked by a surprise resignation of Foreign Secretary Sir Geoffrey Howe. Anthony Mason has more on the move.
Ever since Margaret Thatcher came to power in Britain in 1979, Sir Geoffrey Howe had been a member of her cabinet. The only remaining veteran of the long march of Thatcherism, one columnist called him. Last night, Sir Geoffrey finally deserted the Prime Minister's camp. It was a devastating political blow.
I think Sir Geoffrey's obviously done a very honourable thing as the honourable man that he is, but I think the writing's on the wall for the Prime Minister. I think the skids are well and truly under her now.
My own belief is that we may well have seen today the death rattle of a government.
Sir Geoffrey broke ranks with Mrs. Thatcher over the question of a united Europe. When European leaders voted 11-1 for a common currency last week, Mrs. Thatcher's was the only vote against.
This government has no intention of agreeing to the imposition of a single currency.
Her answer to a more centralized European government has consistently been
no, no, no.
But many in her own party feel Mrs. Thatcher's policy has left Britain isolated and politically irrelevant. A year ago, her financial chancellor quit over the European issue. With Howe's resignation, the government looks dangerously divided and vulnerable.
Mrs. Thatcher's party is already well behind in the opinion polls. Inflation is at 11% and rising.
The Prime Minister has at most a year and a half before she has to call the next general election. The hill she'll have to climb to win it is looking more and more like a mountain. Anthony Mason, CBS News, London.
The nation's unemployment rate held steady last month at 5.7%. That figure is unchanged from September after 3 straight increases. The government says America's manufacturing and construction industries continue to slump. Some analysts say the oil price shock and the threat of war are leaving businesses uneasy about adding new employees. And another closely watched economic report is out today. The index of leading economic indicators fell 0.8 of a point in September. That makes 2 straight months of decline. 3 straight drops are considered a sign of a possible recession, according to some economists.
And still to come, the battle over Northwest Pool in Des Moines may be over.
And we'll find out some solutions to medical waste incinerator problems, so stay with us.
Des Moines homeless will sleep a bit better thanks to efforts by the 103rd Corps Support Command of the U.S. Army Reserve in Des Moines. Army Reserve officials have donated $51,000 in items for the homeless. The items include cots, sheets, and pillows. The city of Des Moines will take care of distributing the materials to local homeless missions and shelters. The program was funded through the U.S. Department of Defense.
The Des Moines City Council is expected to make a decision on the future of Northwest Pool this coming Monday. But the mayor last night told a group of residents it's doubtful the council will support moving the facility. The mayor says he is not in favor of relocating the pool to Tower Park on Hickman, a statement that surprised many residents who attended a meeting last night prepared to fight relocation. Many said they wanted to keep the pool where it is and renovate the outdated facility, and at the same time keep the 7.5 acre Tower Park intact. But various members of the Beaverdale Neighborhood Association stood up and supported the Tower Park proposal, saying that Des Moines has the opportunity to compete with the suburbs. The council's public hearing is set for Monday night at the City Council chambers.
United Airlines is disputing U.S. safety investigators' findings regarding the cause of the 1989 crash of United Flight 232 in Sioux City. The National Transportation Safety Board put much of the blame for the crash on United, saying United inspectors failed to spot a crack in an engine fan disc, which led to the crash. But airline officials say the blame should be put on General Electric aircraft engines, which made the parts back in 1971. Well, this past week, TV-8 News has reported on how Des Moines hospitals are burning tons of medical waste each day in downtown Des Moines, everything from surgery nightgowns to pillowcases. It adds up to more than 1 million pounds of waste a year, and incinerator problems have led to numerous violations. Today, in his final report, Steve Oswald says alternatives are being considered, including a switch to reusable items.
Hospitals should use far fewer throwaway items. It's not necessary. We don't need plastic bedpans. We don't need plastic cups and plastic trays and plastic booties and all these disposable things. The hospital may sell these. They may have gone into the retail business. They may make a profit from selling these to patients, but it's not necessary.
In recent years, hospitals have strayed away from reusables and have switched to disposables, much like parents have switched from cloth diapers to disposable ones.
A lot of this is due to the increase in the amount of infectious waste that's been defined in the last couple of years.
Hospitals say the uncertainty over what is and what is not medical waste has led them to burn more of their waste just to stay within the law. Still, Methodist says it's considering options other than incineration.
Shipping to outside the Des Moines area and having it processed in another area is another one. Also, we're looking at autoclaving on site.
Autoclaving involves saturating the waste with steam under high pressure. After autoclaving, the waste must still be placed in a landfill. Methodist says it will decide whether to switch to autoclaving or reduce incineration within the next 2 years.
I really believe that we have the best possible process for disposing of medical waste in the city and maybe in the state at this time.
Although Mercy says it's looking into other options, including recycling, for now it plans to continue incinerating nearly 100% of its waste, medical or otherwise.
If there's an alternative to that, which is not the landfill, but is not burning on site, then we need to be told what that might be, and we'd be open to that.
Experts say the most environmentally sound option right now is moving to more reusables and steam sterilizing them after use. Body parts, they say, could be shredded, steam sterilized, and then landfilled. They say that would greatly reduce the level of incineration, which they fear is hurting air quality.
It would be completely ironic if the institutions looking after our health were at the same time damaging our health with the emissions from the incinerator.
If we can work together and have an atmosphere of cooperation, we will get the answers. They're complicated, and they're costly, and they're time-consuming, but we want the answers, just like everyone else.
An interim study committee of the Iowa legislature has just begun work on examining medical waste disposal options and what, if any, laws might be needed.
The interim committee will hold a final meeting next month and may recommend new ways the legislature can deal with medical waste disposal problems.
The weekend is almost here, and so is the rain.
That's right. The timing has been perfect.
Yes,
Weekends
thanks.
bring rain, and it looks like it's going to stay with us most of the weekend along with some very cool temperatures. Back after this.
For up-to-the-minute weather information, day or night, call the TV-8 Weather Beacon forecast at 262-7173.
Very mild conditions in the Des Moines area, but if you go a little bit to the north and northwest of Des Moines, quite cool right now. Let's take a look at current conditions. 69 degrees with cloudy skies, a southwesterly wind, 13 to around 21, 63% relative humidity, and the barometer steady now at 29.90. On National Weather Service radar, there is some rain shower activity along the front, which is right in this area now, extending from around Waterloo, just between Ames and Boone, on down into southwest Iowa. Scattered rain showers moving northeast at around 30 miles per hour. Back to temperatures now across the area, looking at 40s and 50s behind the front, with 51 in Mason City, 47 right now in Fort Dodge, 45 in Spencer. Their temperatures probably will not recover much today. Ahead of the front, very mild again, 67 in Cedar Rapids and Ottumwa, 70 this hour in Burlington, and Lamoni at last check with 68 degrees. Morning low temperatures about the same as they are right now up in northern Iowa with 47 in Fort Dodge, 44 in Mason City, 63 very mild here in Des Moines. That's above our normal daytime high, as well as in Ottumwa. On the satellite picture, a lot of moisture continuing to stream from the south right on up into the state. That's why we're getting that rain shower activity. And once we get a little bit of a stronger disturbance moving into Iowa, this one right in here, as it heads in later on tonight and tomorrow, look for a better chance of rain developing and maybe some potentially heavy rains in parts of the area. Back behind this system where it's a little bit cooler, snow is falling right now throughout the Rocky Mountains all the way up into North Dakota. There is a slight possibility of a few flurries up in northwest Iowa sometime this weekend, but again, ahead of this system, very warm. Record temperatures likely will be set today across much of the region. 51 degrees in Minneapolis right now. Behind the front, though, 38 in Bismarck, 70 in Kansas City, 72 right now in the St. Louis area, as well as Little Rock, all the way along the eastern seaboard. Temperatures way above normal in the 60s and 70s. For Iowa today, 49 to 55 degrees, a temperature range across northern parts, 65 to 74 in the south, 10 to 15 mile per hour winds. Again, the cooler temperatures back behind the front, along with that scattered shower activity. Later on tonight, rain chances start to go up a little bit, especially from about the northwest half of the state, a 40% chance, 35 to 40 the temperature, and in the south, 43 to 53. Again, the thinking is the warmer air will be closer to this front as it moves on out of Iowa. And then for tomorrow, a good chance of rain statewide. Temperatures very cool, 40s north to around low 50s across much of the south. The exception, again, southeast Iowa. They'll be the warmest tomorrow at around 61. Now, for Des Moines and central Iowa, here's what you can expect today. Cloudy and cooler with a few scattered showers, a high today of 68 to 72. We're at 69 right now, and a southwest wind at 10 to 15. Later on tonight, cloudy skies, a chance of rain, 44 to 46 degrees, winds becoming north. And then for tomorrow, quite cool, a high temperature, just 52 degrees with rain likely. Extended forecasts talking about the rain ending on Sunday. Fair Monday and Tuesday, 40s and 50s for the highs.
Thanks for nothing, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay. Taking a look at stocks today, the market is higher in active trading. Volume the first 2.5 hours, 79 million shares. The Dow average is up 29 points today at 2484. An average share of common stock is up 27 cents. Midwest cattle prices this noon are untested. On the interior Iowa hog market, butchers and sows not available today. And in Chicago, December corn is higher at $2.30. November beans mixed at $5.96. And December wheat is mixed today, also at $2.62.
And time again to check in with Mary to find out just what is coming up today.
Yes, yesterday you said you hoped there would be some samples from the International Foreign Food Fair, and lo and behold, here they are. We're going to talk about that. And then you're going to meet a Kansas City grandmother who's made grandparenting a profession. All that coming up right after this. John Dione is doing the cooking. Peggy Patrick's going to be doing the talking, and we'll all do some eating here. We're talking about the 31st, and I can't believe this has been going on for 31 years, International Foreign Food Fair coming up this weekend at Betts Auditorium. It's a not-to-be-missed event. Peggy, how many times have we gone? Many of those 31 years.
Many times. It's a tasteful afternoon, believe me.
And then you diet on Monday, and you probably don't eat much on Saturday because you want to go and pig out. That's what it's all about. John Dione, what are you making?
This is a Hungarian dish called halushka, kapusztás halushka.
Would you say that again?
Kapusztás halushka.
You don't expect me to say that, do you?
It's fried cabbage and noodles. We finally dice the cabbage, we fry it in butter and oil, and then we blend it together with white egg noodles.
It's hard to believe that such a simple list of ingredients could smell and taste so good.
Well, when you fry the cabbage, it develops a very nut-like type of a flavor. And even those that don't like cabbage find that this has a delicious type of an aroma and
just don't tell
flavor.
them, right? If they don't like cabbage, they don't get any. They can buy something else because how many countries represented, Peggy?
Close to 30 separate ethnic food stands. And you have a chance. We even have the first time the Soviet Union is joining for the first time in Des Moines. And it's just a culinary United Nations.
It's wonderful. And it's also educational for youngsters to go and see the talented groups performing from all those countries and then to taste the food. Some they'll like, some they won't, some they've never heard of. It'll be a surprise. I mean, there's so many wonderful varieties of things.
It's an adventure.
But isn't it interesting to know that we have so many ethnic groups in Des Moines, because some people thought that, you know, we were just stuck out here in the middle of the country and nobody ever got here, but not anymore.
Well, not only did they get here, they all know how to cook.
And cook well.
They all know how to cook and to share.
This is a fundraising for...
Everyone knows how to eat.
And everybody knows how to eat.
And just come and graze.
Come and graze. That's what these people are doing in this videotape from years ago. This has been going on so long that some of our videotape is so old we can't even...
Well, come take some more on Sunday. That would be fun.
I think we should do that.
Between 11:30, 3:30, they'll be serving.
Okay. Would you serve me up some of this? Say it again, John. What is it again?
Kapusztás halushka, fried cabbage and noodles to you.
I'm going to practice it and then I'll try it later. Oh, I should give some of this to Peggy. You haven't had lunch, have you?
No, thank you.
And I want some. Now, over here we have what? Cucumbers?
Cucumbers and a sour cream sauce.
Now, does that go with the cabbage and the...
It's traditional to have some sort of a salad to go with your main dish.
So I'm going to dish this up. Now, you've added a little paprika. Now, I think every picnic in Iowa in the summer has a dish like this, but I didn't know that it came from Hungary originally, but it did?
It did. One of the dishes from Hungary.
Okay. Cucumbers and sour cream with paprika and a little salt and vinegar, and oh, yum.
It's delicious.
I love it all. This is my favorite kind of food, yeah.
Right. The secret is the squeezing out of the brine that you blend it into, and then add the sour cream sauce to it.
And your parents came from Hungary?
My parents are from Hungary. These are traditional recipes that are handed down generation to generation, and my mother taught me how to make these.
We appreciate you sharing them with us today, and don't even think about getting these home. I mean, your plate's going to go home empty. And we put the globe up here just as a prop because we think it's appropriate for what we're talking about today, promoting international understanding and having a good time, too. Once again, Peggy, what time?
11:30 to 3:30, or if the food runs out before that. And the entertainment goes on until at least 3:30.
Get there early. There's an admission fee, and then there's a small charge for each of the different kinds of foods you want to sample. Thank you very much. You both said you were grandparents, right?
Absolutely.
Well, I want you to stick around because you're going to meet a lady from Kansas City who has made grandparenting a profession. You'll meet Sunny Levin right after this.
10 years ago, I became a grandmother for the first time, and there was very little out there. And having been an educator, and I'm very much into books, I wanted to find out what I could do to be the best grandmother possible. And so I had to do it myself.
You had to wing it.
I had to wing it, right.
She's been called the guru of grandparenting or grandmother extraordinaire. Meet Sunny Levin, an entrepreneurial grandmother from Kansas City. When she discovered there wasn't anything much on the market or in libraries to help grandparents improve the quality of their relationships, she decided to provide it. She wrote a book called Grandparents' Little Dividends, How to Keep in Touch, started a grandparents club, and publishes a newsletter. Consider the most important function of a grandparent.
Actually, I think one of the most important things is that they have more time. They're able to listen to the grandchild, and they're able to be very supportive. You know, anybody that's going to tell you how wonderful you are day by day and how much they love you, it makes you feel pretty good about yourself.
And shouldn't grandparents ever discipline or scold or be judgmental?
No. Actually, unless you have full-time care, if they're doing something that you know is going to be detrimental. But most of the time, you're right there just to love them and spoil them some, too. I have 4 long-distance grandchildren, 2 in New York and 2 in Chicago, and every 3 weeks I send them a letter and a book and a tape, so that they hear my voice constantly and they see the letter. And even the preschool children, they carry a letter around. I can start out with just pictures and finally evolving into a letter. And they send them back. They send letters back. At first they're just scribbles and little pictures, but they pretty soon are able to write me a few things too. Letters are very important, and the tapes, and a lot of pictures. Pictures of you and what you're doing, and Grandpa, what he's doing, pictures of them with you, and pictures of their parents. They like that, too.
They probably want to hear stories about when their parents were young, too.
Oh, absolutely. And particularly if the parents used to get into some trouble, too. They love that.
They want to know the straight scoop.
Oh, it makes them feel more human.
I know you lecture a lot, and of course your literature goes all over the country. What are the concerns that you hear after meeting with grandparents? What are the things they want to know or ask you?
Well, grandparents as a whole are very intimidated by their grandchildren because they are so sophisticated today. In today's world, you don't just get out some flashcards when the child is having some problem with reading. You just go and get a fuse for their computer or for their tape recorder, a battery. And so it is a different world. And they don't always understand them. They don't know how to communicate. So they feel like strangers. I tell the grandparents it's very important to understand what's happening in today's world and also to find out what's happening in the child's world so that you know who their friends are, what they're doing with their spare time, and how they're actually living their life. And then let them know about you, what you like, and what you enjoy doing, too. You can get to be very close that way.
Sounds like Grandma and Grandpa had better be up on Bart Simpson, Ninja Turtles, and maybe even MTV. If you want more information on grandparenting from Sunny Levin, write to her at Post Office Box 11143, Shawnee Mission, Kansas 66207. How many do you have, Sunny?
8.
8. And you love them all the same, right?
Absolutely. And I give them equal time, too. That's important. When you have that many, you need to find time for each one of them.
Well, you're not going to have to worry about what you're going to do for the rest of your life, do you?
No, I have it cut out for me.
Good Grandma. What's coming up Monday?
We're going to get a jump on the holiday season with 2 local therapists who are going to talk about where did all the magic go.
Okay.
Weather-wise today, we're going to be fairly warm in the 60s to lower 70s. Then later on tonight, cooling down into the mid-40s.
And this just in, President Bush has announced he will be spending Thanksgiving in the Gulf. The White House says Bush will travel to Saudi Arabia after a trip to Paris. That'll do it for today. Thanks for joining us this week.
See you later. Bye-bye.